Hi, my name is Brendan Fruin and today I will be demonstrating NewsStand for Windows Phone. NewsStand is a system currently being developed at the University of Maryland at College Park under the direction of Hanan Samit for aggregating and geotagging news from over 10,000 RSS feeds in 15 languages. There is currently a web application and mobile applications for Android, iOS, and Windows Phone. NewsStand for Windows Phone was implemented using Windows Phone 8 SDK. The maps used in this application are the built-in here maps. When the NewsStand app icon is selected, a splash screen is displayed while the map, the user's location, and the default app values are initialized. Once everything has initialized, the splash screen is hidden and NewsStand's map mode is displayed. Map mode consists of three parts: the top application bar, the map and its overlays, and the bottom application bar, which are now described in detail. The top application bar contains the buttons to change the map's current view, along with the slider and a text label. The four buttons in order from left to right are the Home button, the Local button, the Locate button, and the World button. The Home button updates the map window to a user-specified location. Before the user sets their home location, the selection of this button prompts the user on whether to set the current view to the home view. Selection of Yes sets the home location to the current map window, and subsequent selections of this button will take the user to this location. If the user gave location permission to NewsStand, selection of the Local button will update the map window to the user's current location. On zoom to the user's location, it is required that markers are displayed, and if there are not any at the specified zoom level, then the map will continue to zoom out until markers are displayed. The Locate button displays a message box asking for the user to enter a location in a text field. For example, entering Syria will update the map window to display Syria and the corresponding map markers. The World button updates the map window to display the entire world. In the middle of the top application bar is a Stand Mode label and a map slider. The Stand Mode label is simply text centered above the slider that tells the user what stand is currently being used. The options include NewsStand, Twitter Stand, or Photo Stand, which can be set by the Settings menu item described later. The map slider allows the user to change the number of markers displayed on the map. The default value is 50%, meaning that half of the available markers are displayed unless the user changes the slider value. Most of the map mode page is occupied by the map and overlays over top of the map. These overlays consist of a plus and minus button, the map markers, the current search key and its corresponding cancel button, and the current sources selected along with its corresponding cancel button. The plus and minus buttons allow for zooming in and out on the map. The map markers represent news clusters located at their respective locations on the map. By default, the markers are icons representing the topic of the news cluster that they correspond to, but this can be changed by selecting the Layers button on the bottom application bar. Selection of a map marker gives the location name along with the title of the representative article for the first cluster at the selected location. The info window was designed for NewsStand app, and it repositions itself based on the marker's location on the screen so that the info window does not need to move the map in order to display. Selecting the info window opens the location page, which displays a list of news clusters for a given location. Selecting a story on the location page highlights it and opens the snippet page. The snippet page displays information about the current article, including buttons to view the images, videos, and related articles, if there are any. These buttons are located both underneath the representative image and on the application bar for easy access. Location error reporting can be found by selecting the menu button on the far right of the application bar. The user can browse other stories at this location by the arrow buttons located in the upper right corner of the page. Selecting the headline opens the article where the user can share, increase, or decrease the text size. Selecting the images displays the image grid page of all the images in the current news cluster. Images may be duplicates which can be marked or removed by swiping. Selection of an image enlarges it and displays its caption underneath of it. Selecting an image also displays the application bar, which allows you to save the image, open the corresponding article in a web page, or to share the image on any social media application you have synced with your Windows phone. Swiping the enlarged image allows jumping to different images that are above, below, left, or right of the original image. Tapping an area outside of the image will dismiss the enlarged image and return control to the image grid. Selecting the videos displays the videos page of all the videos in the current news cluster. Videos are displayed in a list with the video's title and preview image, the duration, the date it was retrieved, and the domain of the video source. Selecting a row in the video list immediately opens the video corresponding to the row in full screen. I will now return to map mode. The current source displays the current source or sources selected. Its default value is all sources most recent, meaning that all languages and all feeds are displayed, showing the top news clusters with the most recent article in the cluster as the representative article.
Okay.
The bottom
My
application bar
topic
consists of 5 buttons. From
today
left to
is
right,
the
they
4
are the
ingredients
keyword button, the
of
layers
economic
button,
growth.
the sources button,
And
the top stories button, and the menu button. The keyword button upon selection prompts the user to enter a search keyword to filter the articles to only display articles that contain that keyword. For example, entering the word spy will update the map to only display articles that contain the word spy. Also notice that a new label appears denoting the current search keyword. This search keyword can be removed by selecting the X directly to the right of the label. The Layers button allows the user to select what the map marker displays. Selecting it opens the Layers page, with the icon layer selected by default. The options are the icon layer, which displays an icon representing the topic of the first cluster at a given location, the brands layer, which displays a company name found in a cluster at the corresponding location, the disease layer, which displays disease names found at that location, the keyword layer, which gives keywords found at that location, the location layer, which just gives the location name, and the people layer, which displays a person's name found in a cluster at the corresponding location. I will now select the disease layer. Notice that the map marker icons have now been replaced with disease names. Selecting a location and an article, will also give the disease reference in the article. The Sources button allows the user to filter the news by language and newsfeed. Selecting it opens the source page and sets the current source label based on the user's selection. The Feeds page contains all of the most popular feeds given the selected languages. By default, all languages are selected, so we get a list of all sources with their name, country flag, the number of recent articles, and the language code. Selecting a language, for example, selecting Arabic, updates the feeds to only display Arabic news sources. We can see our selected feeds and languages by scrolling to the selected page. Returning to the map, notice that the source label at the bottom of the map has been updated to show that we are now filtering by language. Selecting a location will display headlines from news clusters that have an Arabic article in their news cluster. We can remove source filters by selecting the X button or through the Sources page. The next button, the Top Stories button, switches the map from map mode to Top Stories mode. I will come back to this shortly. Windows Phone 8 applications restrict the application bar to 4 buttons and a menu button, represented as 3 dots for overflow. Selection of the menu button expands the bottom application bar, displaying the menu items About, Filters, Mode, and Settings. The About menu item opens a web page with more information on NewsStand. The Filters menu item opens the Filters page, allowing the user to select the results by topic, the minimum number of images, or the minimum number of videos. The Mode menu allows the user to select the current stand mode. The options are currently NewsStand, Twitter Stand, and Photo Stand. The default mode is NewsStand, and selection of a mode updates the stand mode label. Twitter Stand is similar to NewsStand, but extracts news from tweets instead of RSS feeds. Photo Stand extracts, ranks, and displays images on the map at the locations deemed most relevant. I will now switch the mode to Photo Stand. Notice that the mode label above the slider has been updated to show that we are now in Photo Stand, and the map marker icons have been replaced with news images. Selecting an image displays the location name and the caption for the image selected in an info window. Selecting the info window opens the image grid, which displays all of the images associated with that location. In Photo Stand, there is an additional section in the image grid page entitled Topics. Selecting Topics displays a representative image for each news cluster at the location. Selecting an image in the Topics section will display a button for more images, which allows the user to view just the images in a particular cluster at a particular location. Going back to NewsStand, the Settings button opens the Setting page, which allows the user to set or update their home location. An alternative way of finding news in NewsStand is its Top Stories mode. By selecting the Top Stories mode button in Map mode, the user is taken to Top Stories mode, which displays a list of the highest ranked news for the current filters. The Top Stories page can be broken up into 3 sections: the scrollable stories list, the map, and the application bar. The Top Stories list is a scrollable list of the top stories given the current filters. It contains an image representing the topic, the story's headline, a time reference, the domain of the source, a brief description, and buttons to access the images, videos, and related articles. Selection of a row in the top stories list updates the map window to show the locations associated with the current news story. The top stories map displays the locations for the currently selected news cluster. Each time a row is selected, the locations associated with that row are retrieved and the map viewing window is updated to fit the markers. The number of markers can be updated using the slider, which will update both the number of markers displayed and the map viewing window. A label is displayed above the slider in order to remind the user what stand mode is currently being used. The search key and source button are also displayed in the same way as in map mode. The application bar in top stories mode is the same as in map mode, with the exception that there is no layers button and that only NewsStand or TwitterStand can be selected on the mode page. This concludes my brief demonstration of NewsStand for Windows Phone 8. For more information on NewsStand, including demos of the Android and iOS versions, please see the description of this video. Thank you.